Welcome, Sexy Wookiees, to another episode of the Sexy Wookiee Squadcast. We're continuing reading Star Wars Republic Commando Hard Contact by Karen Travis. This week's chapters are 11 through 15. You're going to get through this, or you're going to pull through this. Believe me, it's your boy, Sexy Leader.
Hey, your girl, Sexy One.
Hey, it's your simp, Sexy 2.
Let's go.
Jasmine, there are a lot of tabs in that book now, I noticed. It is thick.
All right, so side note, I guess. I've been on Book Talk a lot on TikTok. So I have like 6 of these around my bookshelves, my bedroom, and my work table. Because I love sticky notes because it's easier than...
Look at it go! Wow!
So what I do is I either do a quote that I really like or a passage that I find really funny. You know, I'll just... So the last few was just Fi being like stupid. I know like at least 5 of these are him.
I love, you should like have it color coded for like Fi moments, Niner moments, Darman moments.
But like, yeah, I love sticky notes. You should see my other books that I've been reading lately.
Super
They're like
handy.
cover. I don't know. I find it easier. It's fun. It's colorful. And then you could just like, play with it.
You remember all your little favorite bits.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
So that's, yeah, I like sticky notes.
Very good.
Anyway.
Which moments do you want to talk about with us? Not on TikTok.
Not on Book Talk. Well, how relieving was it to read that they finally got reunited? I was like, yes.
I love it. I love how like excited, happy face, how excited Darman was. Like Etane's in there trying to do her meditation, and she feels the shift in his mood, and he's like, my team's coming, and I'm like, oh, you guys. And then they show up and they're all, I just love it. And then immediately just the dynamic between all of them and just kind of seeing them having worked through the issues that they did when they were separated, and they're kind of in a different place now than when they all jumped out of that plane at the same time. And it's just interesting to see how they've grown over the last few days or however long they've been out there on this journey. The first 15 chapters or so, and here they are together and ready to use everything they've learned to take on this mission. And I just love it. The team is reunited. We've got all 4 of our Ninja Turtles and friends. I'm like, Janart's there and Etane's there, and then we've also got this like poor Weequay that's just like this poor guy. Gutane. Yeah, kind of like felt sorry for him by the end, but there he was. So yeah, no, I love it. I love the reunion, and then them talking to each other again, and once again seeing the difference in all the personalities and how they interact. Very relieving. I was like, there you go, Ronald. Now all the characters are in one place. You can be happy.
Well, let's see here. Well, all I can think about in the start of that was I can't hear. So she couldn't hear. And definitely
dude, right, the explosion scene.
Yeah, and he's trying to tell her like, oh, I got 2 of my team over here. You got Niner over here, but they're in the vicinity of getting closer. But yeah, I enjoyed that they got together. I think a lot of the part of the reading was 2 things for me. Etane trying to understand these other clones as they, collected themselves with Janart, and then moving forward. And the other part of it was that the 4 knowing that they have to be able to work together. So I really like the team building. So you guys like a lot of the world building. I'm more of this, like, there it is right there. It was the team building for me. Like, like who,
some good character moments in there.
Yeah. And now that you like, there's like not that much, well, they never had hostility, but they never really quite knew each other.
Right.
Which was like, if this Omega Squad was going to get together, will it work? And now that we start to see a little bit of like the phase 1 of this plan moving through, like, well, we know it didn't work out that well.
No, plan A, B, C, D, all the alphabet. And it's funny because it almost feels like Darman knows Etain better than he knows the rest of the team at this point.
Yeah.
It's like he
I like
takes
that.
her
And
side in the argument, and it's
I still really like that
weird.
relationship because that's that's that person that I always talk about in books where it's like I can there's some things I can't tell the other parts of the group, but I can definitely tell you, and then that makes that relationship very special. So they got
Yeah, they
really
went through a
something
lot
on.
together.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to think like, what's it gonna be? Like, what's that special part between those two are gonna be? We'll see. I don't want to forecast.
Yeah, and you brought up that the good part, just the angle of having now Etain, who now didn't know that there were such a thing as clones, getting used to Darman as an individual, now all of a sudden seeing like clones of him show up, and she's only used to dealing with him and the way that they interact and how informal they are with each other, and now she has to start over again with these guys who want to call her commander and don't want to tell her their names, and she's just like, no, this is how I do things, this is how Dar and I do it, and they're like, whoa. It's
Yeah, but then
it's
she also had a
fascinating.
like I don't know if this is gonna be a question in our near future, but she also had a special kind of like a introductory kind of thing with a teen. So I was like,
I
I'll go
loved
more into
that
that if that's a
scene.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, just like the character moments, um and especially with her, and you know, her dealing with all of a sudden now war, and when fighting is not her thing, and now she's sending people to their deaths, and at first it's like somebody that was a villain, but she knows that she's could easily do the same thing with these people that she cares about. Like, I don't know, just this dealing with the psychology of that is slow and possibly boring as that might be, was fascinating and so realistic. It's like the scene where they exploded the hillside and Darman forgets that she doesn't know how to react to an explosion, and so she hasn't ducked and covered and blows her eardrum out, and it's like, yes, that's realistic, that's what would happen in this war. She wouldn't know what to expect from that, and that is what the result would be. And I don't know if it's necessary, but it's so interesting, and I love that it's there. And yeah, and then her dealing with these other characters and having these moments and caring about them and wanting to help with their issues, each of them having a different one. And especially, yeah, the whole scene with her and Etain, and like trying to connect with him on gadgets, and like, oh, I built this lightsaber, and he's like, that's so cool, and she's like, can I see your gun and your helmet? And like, I loved it. Super cute.
So kind of like I want to ask that to Jasmine because you haven't answered your question yet.
I know, I'm sorry, I keep
But this is
jumping.
just to add. No, this is just to add to your question. All right, so Jasmine, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Just to tie that all in, like, do you think Darman's relationship with Etain, and what do you think with this introductory relationship that could grow with Etain and Etain? Etain and Etain.
I know, right? Isn't it funny with those two names?
Say that 5 times fast. But go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
So that does kind of tie into the next question. So I really am enjoying how this is coming together.
We're all on the same wavelength.
So I'll answer my question real quick. My heart was just so happy when they were finally reunited, and when he was excited that they were together, and he's like, oh, they're coming. And I was like, I love how they had literally just met like what, a few days ago, and now they're just so bonded and close, not just because of like what they do, but just they're bonded.
Like they hugged when they got reunited. I was like,
oh, sweethearts. I just really liked it. It made me really happy. And so I guess to answer your question, I just find it really interesting how she was able to bond with Darman a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
They seem to just kind of understand each other in ways that it seemed like others might not have understood them. And when she was connecting with Etain, I felt just such a personal connection to Etain. Not that I've, lost people the way he has, but just his mental state with certain things. Just the way like he's cautious and like he cares, but it may not always come off as he cares. And so like I've been relating a lot to him, and just seeing the way that she was trying so hard to try to find a way to relate to him, not like,
to
hey,
connect.
open up to me, but it's like, hey, let's connect this way. Like, she notices he likes these things, so she's going to talk to him about it. So I really found that endearing, and I just thought it was the sweetest thing. So I like seeing her relationship with them as a group and then as individuals. That makes me really happy. Are you guys ready for our next question?
Ready.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So Etain had confirmed that they were no less than normal men. What are your thoughts on that? Like, we talked about them as individuals, and their growing story and everything. But when I read that, I was just like, I don't know, it tugged at some heartstrings. It tugged at something. So I'm just curious about your thoughts on that overall.
It is the confirmation that they are not robots. They are not brainwashed automatons. They're regular, normal, biological people with individual personalities. And they may be genetically special, but it doesn't make them any less human. And I think that was kind of an eye-opener and a heartstring tugger for me the first time I read this book as well, because when you see them on the screen in Attack of the Clones, and you barely see them out of armor, and it's just this identical copy paste, like probably literally VFX guy copy pasting, and you don't view them as individuals. You don't even view them really as human, as people. You think, oh, they were like brainwashed soldiers. It's basically like squishy droids. They all are mission minded and focused, and they only know how to do what they were trained to do, and that's it. Like, they don't live like normal people. And so that line of like, they're not any different than a normal man, like, it was mind-blowing. It was like, oh my gosh, it's just a real person that just grew up differently and happens to look the same as the people next to him, but it is just a normal human man. Like, it is a very important line, a very important concept, and is central to the whole story, to the whole theme. So yeah, good catch.
Now you got me thinking, would it look like to Hoken if they were to take off their helmet and just be like, what, Jango Fett's still alive, kind of thing, and then had a moment there taking a look at that? But
well, like, he knows they're based on Jango, but I think that he is of that mind that they are just, like, they're just clones that were used Jango's genetics and were like trained up as, like, I think once he sees the Mandalorian culture in them and the attitude, and just that warrior spirit, that's what's going to shake him.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't really think of that, or I didn't think of it that way. But correct me if I'm wrong. Was there a point where they talked about the 4 Omega Squad guys saying that they have the possibility to reproduce? I think I read something.
Yeah,
like
no,
that, or I
they're
could be
like
wrong.
genetically completely normal human biological functions. They just age faster.
Right, correct. So I think for me, oh man, I'm thinking in my head, hashtag only human. But
Christina Perry
they're
song.
yeah, or it's the Jonas Brothers song. But yeah, let's not go off on that.
Don't get me started.
No, for them to be like, I think with these 4, like, I don't know, I don't read them that way, because like what Megan said, they are bred to know to do one thing, and that's war. But I also like what you said, which I'm going to piggyback off you, which I haven't done in a long time, that you said that they're not clankers, right? And I've been playing the game, and even this week I've been playing Battlefront 2, and I've also
I was like,
watched
are you playing Republic Commando already?
no, and I also played what did I play? What did I watch actually? I watched Attack of the Clones, not to try to relate something in this book, but to try to just be in the mood of like making a connection from after Geonosis to this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're only bred for war. And so in my mind, like watching all the shows and they really there's never I can see like when I watched the Clone Wars, even when I was younger, like, oh, that could have been a realistic human moment, right?
Hmm.
And as I read this book more, it's so detailed to that how these guys are really clearly um that I hope when they actually I forgot what they call it, but I'll say it in my own words. When they retire, meaning when they
Hmm.
get too old to be for war, I hope they get to have that moment and then spend the rest of whatever life they have, which is weird to me because Captain Rex lives to be like how old? So they even though they're not good for war, like they will still be able to uh hopefully experience something human or what
If
can
they
humans
survive
feels.
long enough,
Oh, and what they call it in the Star Wars world, civilian. So you know what?
the
Take a
civvies
shuttle, go to freaking Batu, relax out
live it
there.
up.
I know Relics, he's out there, so
Yeah,
he can
come join us
definitely
at the
be yeah,
cantina. Well,
yeah,
there was
relax out there,
at the beginning
vacation.
of one of those chapters, there was that quote from like a VA retirement home kind
Mhm,
of thing. And
mhm.
I love how she inserts these little relevant but sort of off topic quotes at the beginning of every chapter that's just like, I don't know, just a little bit of context into the world. And that the one from the clone, and it was like biological age 60 something, or no, some mental age, I don't know what it was, and then like but actually 23, but it's like aged into like the 60s because of the advanced aging. And the quote was like, I don't know, nobody's ever asked me my opinion on anything before.
Actually, I would if I was a clone and I retired. Yeah, just let me work at the VA. I would love to counsel other clones and their I don't know whatever they're doing out there.
Oh, it's an interesting thought. Some of them could survive long enough to retire. And then I just remembered, sorry, um the idea or the juxtaposition of viewing them as people versus a product. And I think it's even shocking to the clones themselves when somebody views them as a man, like a normal human, because there's that one part where Darman is remembering certain batches that weren't ideal, like that didn't have 20/20 eyesight
Mhm.
and just disappeared. That like even the I want to say Kaminoans, but I know Jasmine always says Kaminoans. Uh
Kaminoan, yeah,
Kaminoans,
When I read
however
that, I
you
couldn't
say it.
pronounce it.
Kaminoans.
So
I
even
know
to
that
the
they're similar
cloners, like they
to the
were
long neck.
just a product that if it wasn't up to standard, they would just straight up delete them, basically. Just
Yeah.
kill them. Like they weren't human. And that doesn't completely even shake other clones. They're just like, yeah, well, they weren't up to standard. Like it kind of scares them, but that's just how it is. So I don't even know if they view themselves quite as human as Etain views them.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's a fascinating thing to get into.
Oh, my turn.
I think so. I don't know, Ronald.
I don't know. Okay, I can go. When, like I said, when I read that, it just kind of tugged at my feelings. And, I'm so used to the Clone Wars and the novels from the TV show and whatnot. And so this is kind of new. But, like my favorite is Fives. A lot of people that know me knows he's like my number one clone. And he's the one who's always saying, we're more than just our numbers. We are men. We are people. And, that's one of the reasons that I love him so much, because he just sticks up for everyone, for all of his brothers, for himself. And so that's why, like, I was always just so used to that where like, you know, a lot of them would just be like, yeah, well, we were made for this. We're not really anything special. And then Fives is like, hello, we're people. And so, you know, like the kind of back and forth like that I saw in the TV show and that I read in some of the books, and then reading it from this perspective where they acknowledge that they're men, but at the same time they acknowledge that they're not exactly. And so it's so interesting to be able to read that perspective. Like you guys know me, I love the clones, I love the psychology of it. And so when they were like, yeah, we're no less than normal men, I was like, simple words, but it's not so simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really appreciated that. And then, you know, up to this point, we get to see how much of individuals they really are. Like the 4 very distinct personalities. And, you know, I love them so much. Like I'm so much more attached to all of them now.
Oh.
I just, because, you know, I like how this shows like, yeah, they may be clones, but they're not exact replicas of each other. They may have the same face, but like in the very first episode of the Clone Wars, Yoda was like, you guys have the same face, but your energies are all different. And I was like, my man.
That's it.
Yeah,
And so,
pretty much. I think that was a copy of like what. Sorry to cut you off. Were you gonna say something right there?
no, that's fine.
No.
Now
So
you're
let
gonna
me
pull a
just
Megan.
let me do a 2-second really quickly. Yeah, it's like a copy of you know. I'm glad you brought that up because I like that episode with Yoda. But then like reading in the book is, I was gonna say 2 things. I wanted to go back to both of you, like with saying how they're human and how they're how realistic theme plays along. Well, if you're not thinking you're a Tane, and this is for both of you, then like really, you guys really are a Tane, really much, right? And with a Tane, I love how she goes, uh, "Tell me your name," and then the moment that they're gonna say a number, you're like, "No, no, tell me your real name." But then, and then I was like, okay. When I looked at that, I said, these guys said, or somebody had said, I think it was Darman. He goes, "We don't say our real names because they're special to us. It's like you're not part of the club, so you can't call me that. You have to call me by my number." So when I thought of Jedi, right, I'm thinking, yeah, because when you look at the relationship between Obi-Wan and Cody, he calls him Cody. He doesn't call him like CT or CC, whatever Cody's numbers are, or you know, they call him Rex, and they don't. Anakin calls him Rex, not by his numbers as well. That's why I don't know the numbers, because had those Jedi's called their clones by, you know, uh, they're like, so I think of it this way. I think you guys are a Tane, but I feel like I'm more of the Anakin slash Obi-Wan type, where yeah, I'll call my clone by the way, you know, his name, because that's how it should be done. Just kind of what, like, going back to that quote that Master Mundi said last week, like really, like you're gonna weep if like, and I think if Cody were ever to bite the dust, or Rex had bite the dust, like in the show or whatever, like there's no doubt in my mind that the 2 Jedi that work with them so closely would have had like you know, that type of impact. So yes, like to go back to your question, like these guys are human. And like I wasn't looking down when Megan was speaking a while ago. I was actually looking at the definition of what a clone was, like on the internet, and it means like, I don't want to go with the long version, I'll go with the short version: an organism in a cell. Now I don't think these clones are bred to look at themselves either as an organism or as a cell. They're looking at themselves as like whatever Skirata had been said. I think Skirata has played such an impact on these 4
You can tell
that it's not like we're not allowed to think, or it's not that they're not allowed to. They just think not in that way. They're not programmed. Obviously, when you're trained to do something, right, and you keep doing it and doing it, you're going to keep doing it that way. So they don't train themselves to actually look as human. And so as Etain, like Etain comes along, who's not experienced, who doesn't even know what these clones are,
Mm-hmm.
um, is like showing them like you can be human too. So to you both, like you
Mhm.
both are a 10 to me.
I
As
like
we
that you
read
brought
along.
up the name thing because I think it was mentioned in this book, or I know I read it somewhere. But the clones, like, they have such little personal possessions. Like they basically don't have anything, which is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why the name thing, like, it makes sense that it's so special to them because
Yeah,
it's
it's something that's
theirs,
theirs.
that they're not gonna, openly give it out to everyone. And so, I like that she wants to call them by their names and be like, hey, you're not a number. I don't want to call you a number. But at the same time, I understand that they could be so
Yeah.
protective of it.
And that she wouldn't understand that
Yeah.
necessarily.
Because even though she grew up a Jedi, like, she's still got a lot of stuff. She got to have her personal possessions, like in other books that we've read of the Jedis, they have their trinkets, they have their
Yeah,
goodies,
and
they
everyone
have,
got to
yeah,
specialize in something different and kind of have a
yeah,
different master. And
they have their own rooms, everything. So they get to have personal
yeah,
possessions. The clones don't. And so that's why it makes so much sense that they would, keep something, like, basically the only thing that's theirs to themselves. And it makes sense. And then Ronald, you brought up Cal, and I remember how Niner was thinking about how, one time Cal was like, oh, you poor boys, you guys are just boys. I'm just like, oh, it's true.
Cal so much. I was thinking of another Cal quote actually from earlier that Darman had been thinking of when he first saw civilians. And it was that he felt sorry for them because Cal or Scarata had told them, like, at least you guys know what your purpose is and you're good at it. Most people spend their lifetime struggling to figure it out, what it is they're supposed to do and what they're good at and what their purpose is in this life. Like, at least these guys know and believe in it and will fight for it.
Yeah.
Like, that is such a valuable part of existence that they have without question, that they have so confidently. They know what they're here to do and they're not afraid to do it, that regular civilians spend twice as much time growing up and trying to figure out and failing and all this kind of stuff. Failure isn't an
Preach.
option for these guys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No,
Which
Like,
is so sad,
That's
though,
good. That's
because,
good, Megan.
like, when you think about it, like, yeah, they know their purpose, but the fact that they were bred for one thing without question, where, like, the three of us, we get to question what we're doing. We get to
all the
question,
time.
like, other stuff. And, part of life is just failing and learning from your mistakes so you could do better next time. Because how else are you supposed to learn if you don't make mistakes?
But, like, how great would it be to just be confident in your purpose?
I'd love to be confident, but that, God, confidence, I strive for that. But
exactly. And that's an
I'll-
advantage that the clones have,
but
as
like,
human
all
as they
jokes
are.
aside, it's sad that it's like this is the only life they'll ever know. So
Yeah.
like Ronald brought up that quote by Coyote Mundi, and he was like, I'm gonna weep more for them because regular soldiers had a life to live. They had families, they had all this other stuff, but
There's something to fight for.
these men
Freedom.
had no life, and that's just what really makes me so sad for them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's great to have a purpose and to have confidence, but if you don't get to actually do something with your life, you don't get to learn that there's other options, that's just kind of sad.
Yeah, it's something to envy about them, and yet they have so much to envy about regular civilians.
Yeah.
It's an interesting conundrum. I love it. And I know poor Ronald, I promised him that there would be some action in this section, and there really wasn't. It was just kind of like building up. But it was very character centric, and it was very thematic, and it was dealing with these interactions, and to me that's just as fascinating, and we could discuss it probably even longer than their battle plan. It's interesting.
You
to read
promised me
about.
that there was action, and it gave it
Well, there
action,
was.
but
There was some.
you're right. The word you use the correct word, theme. And to hopefully close this question out, like really, like who's more free, the Jedi or the clones?
That's a good
When you think
question.
about it,
I like that. I like that.
it's a question. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
I those are the things I'm looking at, and going back to what you guys said about like realism and everyday realism or realistic theme. Um, yeah, that's what I look for in the book, and I said, all right, let's see what we can pick up from this. But no, we did get the action. Trust me. Hoken did a lot to
Oh
give us
shoot,
some action. Yeah.
that guy.
Oh,
Crazy.
Hoken. He's crazy, but I love him.
I do. Oh my gosh, when he killed the Gutane, that
Mhm.
poor guy was like dreading because he was so proud of himself for bringing back all this information. And then he's
No.
like, "You let me live, right?" And he's like,
That's exactly
It's
the
bad
moment
for
I was like,
bad for
morale.
morale. And then just straight up, I was like, oh, this guy. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Am I psychotic? Because I actually laughed at that. I was like, it's bad for morale. Wow.
I did too. I was like, what a reply. Like, I so want to see him in live action.
I am in love
Like-
with this man. They were like this middle-aged whatever, and I was like, that's my new boyfriend. I love him.
Like, I don't know why. Like, he's just so, like, I just picture him so well. Like, everything he does
Right.
seems so consistent and true to his character, even
Mhm.
though we've just been introduced to his character. I feel like I understand him and how he reacts to things. And I love
like
it.
that he's not like, I think we talked about this, like he's not the most absolute perfect villain. Like he's like, oh, like he was repulsed by the bodies, and like he takes a moment to think about things. And so I like
Yeah.
that it's not like just absolute perfection. I like that he's like, okay, well, I can learn from this.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
what
can
kind of things do I-
acknowledge it, strengths and weaknesses of things.
Yeah, I love that so much about him. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the other Star Wars villains, but I know we've used this word before. I'm gonna use it again. It's refreshing.
Yeah,
It's refreshing.
it is.
Well, it's refreshing because this villain is not some that we have not read a villain, I think, unless it was in Most Wanted. No, because the Empire was still in Most Wanted. We have not seen an Empire type lead villain and
Mhm.
then or a separatist type lead villain in this book. So this is why it's not refreshing. I think it's more of like this is new to us,
Mm.
and therefore, yes, I get to judge what Hoken, like, being a first time reader of like this type of villain is, because I can judge all the other ones, right?
Mhm.
So right now, like I'm hating on the Trandoshans, like right now, Transdoshans.
Not the Bothans.
Yeah,
The
no.
Trandoshan.
Which I really
You're saying
love
Thrash
Bosk,
Oceans.
but yeah, the ones in
Mhm.
here, like,
They're
they can
crazy.
all go down. Like,
I
Oh,
loved
out.
Hoken for like a moment when he was like pissed at Uthin, was like, I
mm,
really want to hurt her because that's what I would do to any of my underlings, but it's a woman, so I probably shouldn't. Like, he has like some weird code of ethics that makes him hesitate for a second, and then he's like, nah, I'm gonna do it.
that will be his
this
downfall.
man.
I can't wait till Uthin takes over.
Like, I don't know, that little moment was just so true. It just felt so real that like he would pause and think, wait a minute, which do I believe in more? Like, which is gonna feel worse to me? And he's like, no, I still gotta threaten her. Okay.
But see,
I
that's
still
the
gotta
thing.
get
That's
violent.
that's the difference between what we know of Vader. For Vader, like Vader would be an automatic kill, and I would still go that way. So for this one, that's why I said it's like it would be
Yeah.
a weakness of his, and I can't wait for Uthin to really take
But
over.
he's
and,
smart. He's
yeah.
like, as a villain, I should probably just straight up kill her for lying to me.
But
That's
he
what I
has a
would do
code
to
of
any of
ethics,
these
which is weird.
dumb guys. But then he's like, but she's smart
Yeah.
and valuable, so I'm just gonna scare her and then let her keep doing her job.
I think he's really afraid
And
of
it
her in
worked.
some sort.
So yeah, no, I love.
Because no,
love
I
these
think he's
characters.
really afraid of her because she stood up to him actually
She did, and then
in
like
that
Yeah.
part,
a
and that's
scene
what
later, she just didn't even care. She's like, yeah,
that's
whatever.
that's why. So if the way I read it was more of like, oh no, it's not that he has a code of ethics and he's going to stop himself due to it. It's that she stood up to him, and like that's where it's like, oh crap, like she stood up to me.
I
Like
think he
the
liked
the
that
other guys
though.
would, yeah, and that's why I told you from the first episode of this book, she's the kryptonite to him because
Yes.
he like his minions or his people and even his like Mandalorians wouldn't even like talk back to him like that, you know?
Yeah.
So
And he doesn't even respect like the
but she
Nemoidian
did.
that is
So
his boss, but
man, find a photo of this
her
Uthan, and I want to see a photo of Uthan.
with her crazy hair.
Yeah, send it in our chat. Like I want to see that. Like
What did they say? She has like red and black
It's like
hair.
red and black streaked hair. Like
That sounds really. That sounds. Oh God, you know what? That reminds me of like one of my Bratz dolls that I had when I was really little.
it
Yeah,
does sound like a Bratz doll.
I just aged myself, but there were these two twins, and one of them had like red, like wine red hair, but then she had like black streaks, and then the other
yeah.
wine red hair, but then she had
Red,
like black
wine.
braids in it. And so I was just kind of picturing my Bratz doll.
Yeah, no, I think that's what it is. It's supposed to be like really punk, like black and red
That sounds awesome.
hair. I don't she's so interesting. Like I don't know, she seems like she just wants to do her job, but she's also tough and smart and resourceful, but like not necessarily scary. And she's not necessarily the best at her job because she hasn't perfected this yet and she needs a sample and well, it could get anybody sick, and yeah, I lied to you, and oh, you threatened me, but now I don't care. Like, I don't know. Just that dynamic between those two. It's very interesting.
I think it's funny. I feel like they could make a sitcom out of it, and I would watch it.
Like
Stand up to him with
I
Fine.
want them to be
watch this.
roommates, and then it would just be the funniest living situation.
Send me a
would
picture.
make
I
it
can't
though.
picture it.
They would get like trapped on the escape ship together and just drive each other crazy.
God, I love that. I would love that. I want Disney make that sitcom show about them being roommates and just always getting on each other's nerves.
And he would
please.
have like a limited number of henchmen that he hates, but like they're limited, so he can't expend them. Or those droids that are just like breaking everything in the villa. I'm like,
Amazing.
these bad guys, I swear. What are you gonna do? Oh well. Did we answer the question? I don't even know. We got so off track.
Yeah, no. We sidetracked, but it was a nice sidetrack. It was fine. It's fine. It was fun. As long as we're having fun, that is all that matters.
That's it. That's the thing about this book is it can spark so much discussion and debate and like in-depth psychology. That's why I knew Jasmine was going to like it, because it really gets into the mind and the relationships between people and the way you're raised and how that affects, is it nature versus nurture? Like, I mean, it really gets into these kind of themes. It's fascinating. So hope you're enjoying it.
So I have two more questions, but I'm just going to do the one because I know this is going to spark another discussion.
We're going to go on forever. It's
going to be a good one. I know it. Like, I love whenever we sidetrack because we always bring up relevant points anyway. So it's fun. It's fun. I like it.
That's fine.
So, I know I asked this before, but now that we've gotten to know the boys a little bit more, I want to know, so there's different personalities, there's different characteristics in each one. Do you guys have a favorite yet, or one that you connect to a lot, or just any opinion on any of them? I just want to hear everything. Let's talk all clones, because
Let's talk clones.
I'm
they keep
simping
getting
like a mother
better
cricker.
and better, all of them. Like, each of them has such good moments, and like as soon as one of them kind of starts to get a little weaker, suddenly they'll have a scene that I'm just like, oh wait, I love you again. Like, it's hard to pick a favorite because I don't know, they're just all so endearing and so like you just want them to succeed so bad. And I think that Ateen was very hard to figure out for the first half of the book. Like, what's his deal? Why is he so standoffish and quiet? And then this last section, he had so many good moments, and just like Etain trying to get into his head and figure it out, and him, the way he changed once they found Darman again. Like, I don't know, it's just beautiful. So I was just like, oh, like he was kind of like the least interesting before, only because he was just so closed off, even though he seemed to have the most tragic backstory with all his injuries and everything, but he's gaining a sense of humor and a sense of camaraderie with the other guys. And just the fact that he started in such a dark place and then has grown so much is almost better than the rest of the guys who haven't changed all that much. We've just gotten to know them better.
Mhm.
So it's different. Like Niner, you kind of always had this burden of leadership feeling from him, and you just kind of get deeper and deeper into that and how he's nervous about it, but he wants to be confident and he wants to call the shots, and he's never sure if it's going to work and everything. And then Fi didn't have, he's got some great lines. We just don't get to know him very well. I'm stupid because I know more about him later, and I'm just I love him so much. But he is kind of the carefree, has a snappy comeback to everything, and that's so essential in a team like this. And then of course there's Darman, who's just learned so much, and he's just such this sweet little naive guy who just wants to do his best, and he's out there learning about the world and about his teammates and about other people and everything. And it's just precious to be part of that journey and to witness and to root for him, and then to have them all back together again, and you just yes, go team, all of you. I love it. And then this, I know you said to talk about the clones, but Etain being this I suck at everything, I'm not even good at being a Jedi, I hope they just kill me. And now she's kind of found her own team, really, and the way they welcome her in, and they're kind of dubious, but Darman vouches for her, so they're fine, okay. And then the way she's trying to connect to each of them and boost their confidence, and almost invents battle meditation by getting them to focus with the Force. They're finding their purpose, their place, and the way they work together and how they connect. And it has built her up more than any of them. So just the fact that her journey depends so much on theirs is amazing. And she's, coming into her own as oh, well, I guess we're in war now, and I've kind of got to be a leader, but as a leader, I want to also learn and acknowledge my weaknesses, and that they see that suddenly as a thing to respect.
Mm-hmm.
And just, what was the line that Niner had about how the fact that she cared about them made her more worthy of command than he had thought before?
I have it marked.
I bet you've got a nice little note card in there.
Right then, Niner didn't care if she had less idea of guerrilla warfare than Amat. She possessed one fundamental element of leadership that you couldn't teach in a lifetime. She cared about those she led. She had earned her rank on the strength of that alone.
Yeah, and that's probably, of course you do. I knew you would. And that's probably not what they were told about Jedi. That's probably not what they expected. They expected these military leaders that knew everything and were all powerful and all confident wise. And were all wise and ready to rush into battle and lead and pull off these magical feats. And she is not what they expected. And yet they found a quality about her that made her worthy. And it is something special to her that made her not good at being a Jedi, and yet it's exactly what they needed. So I don't know, it all just meshes together to be this beautiful teamwork thing. And that is my thought on clones.
Again, I'm gonna piggyback on the whole Etain thing really quickly. we'll get into the clones.
Oh, go for it.
But the Etain part, it seems like I've been picking on her the whole this episode, but in essence, if I had found out about Etain would probably go down in one of my top 10 Jedi of all time. Had I read this book prior to what I know now.
Just you wait.
I don't think so. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to forecast that that she is going to be in my top 10 or even my top 20. But is Karen Travis Etain? That's my question to it. But no, I really love the character. I just don't know if it'll go down in my top anything. We'll see.
We'll
Probably
see.
go down top 50 at the most.
Oh, for crying out loud! Can you even name 50 Jedi?
You got to give it a bigger range. Let's get to the clones. So I wanted to start off my answer with 3 of them were commanded by Skirata, and one Atene, I believe, was not the
Yeah.
one who was in it.
Oh, Wayland
Manna.
Bao.
Right. So I'll start off with Atene just because he's the outlier of the
Yeah.
group. Yes, I read Atene as more of like the guilt trip for whatever happened in his unit. It's kind of like a movie
Units.
I've watched where there was one firefighter, and I'm sorry I don't remember the movie, but one firefighter who was not be able to stay with his team. Um, sadly to say it, the firefighters all passed away when that one firefighter got to live his life.
Mm.
And I feel like that's a teen with his unit.
The Survivor's Guilt.
Survivor's Guilt. Yeah.
And so, that's just a personal thing, right? We see a lot of war. So all these 4 have seen, their brothers die, pass away in war, and they've all seen death, right? The
Yeah,
way
in
they've seen it.
training, and
So
then in
they have
their own
everything. They have,
squads. Yeah.
right. So they have all their guilts in their own ways, right? But then again, yeah, you're right. They have their own personalities as well. And I don't know. I can try to read a teen more, but hopefully, what's her name? Atene will actually, open him up a little bit more than what he is. And I really like the passing of the helmet, and then the passing of the lightsaber, and then he didn't look like he was a person who was gonna turn on the lightsaber and go nuts with it, kind of thing. That was like that. If your special moment was like what what was the moment that you guys were talking about? I'm sorry, I lost my train
Well,
of thought
that
with
is a
that
totally
moment.
special moment.
But that moment was more special to me when they did that. So it's kind of like that Jedi clone relationship. Like that's awesome. But he doesn't make um with his personality and whatever specialty he brings to the group does not make him my favorite, but nonetheless a awesome part of this team, I think. So let's go with the 3 guys who were under Skirata, who have this Skirata mentality, like this is what clones are
Oh,
be
Skirata.
the best. Yeah, be the best that you can be, kind of thing. I like that out of these 3. So I'll just start off with the easiest. Yes, Phi is a little bit more comedic because it relates to me a lot with the turtles a lot, but he's also the tech of the group, and I was like, okay, I see this Phi a little bit more. Like, why does he do speak the way he speaks? Like when when he's trying to, because really to me is like, if it's your sergeant or your commander, like you really have to give that level of respect. But his type of comebacks to
Yeah, he's
the
kind of irreverent.
it's
I
like
love
it's irregular to me. So but
Mm.
irregular but funny, and I get the funny that he's spitting out, but I'm like, yo, those are still your higher superiors, like, but
Well, yeah, and then he goes too far, and
allow it.
Darman had to slap him down because
Yeah.
he was hurting Atane's feelings.
Right. So Phi is that comic relief, but he's not the comic relief for my reading. So then we go down to the 2 leaders, I think, of these 2 groups, Niner and Darman. Darman, like, I think could be probably the best out of all of them. Like, I know I said Niner was my favorite, but Darman is really the I think he's the heart and soul of the team, if he came up to it, because he's seeing things right now as a lot of he's seeing, like, he sees the bigger picture outside, when the others see this Jedi as just like, okay, this is war, that's our commander, let's get to it, right? But Darman is just like, on his own opposite side, just like, hi, joke's on you guys, like, she's not even like that, like, I'm the one training her, and then you know you don't have to be, you like, it's like he's trying to tell them now, like, be yourself around her, she's just a Jedi.
Well, and I wonder if it has to do with the fact he's the only one who's ever been separated and completed a solo operation.
Oh, cool. That's a
He
good. Yeah,
spent so many
that's
days
good.
by himself, and no clone has ever been by themselves for that
Yeah.
long.
Right.
Because
Right.
at some point in the book, I think it was Darman, it was one of them who said, it was so ingrained in us that we are a team. We are nothing without the other.
Right, man. Hey, I love how you guys put that together because that's probably gonna set my my answer. So I'll go back to that because I really like that. Niner has all the qualities of every leader you could
Mhm.
always want to be. I want to be a leader like Niner. And even though Niner has seen darkness, because that's what I feel when I read this dude, is like, man, there's darkness there. They just not putting it in the book.
He's lost a
Like,
squad. That's why he's here.
Yeah.
And that's
but
sad, man.
it's like I want to be him, everything about him, but like there is also, just like a teen, I think there's a lot of pressure on him. There's a lot of pressure on him. Now, like I said, these two have been like, who do I like more from time to time? One time I
Ooh,
relate to Niner, one time I relate to Darman. I'll just call him Dar because I keep saying
Dar.
Darmin. I'll just call him Dar.
Oh, look at you,
So
all familiar.
For Dar, like what you guys said right there, I think that's why I'm relating to him, because sometimes you just need to be by yourself, like for whatever period of time. And with this, what's going on in our real world, like I
Mm-hmm.
get to relate something in the real world, is I've been by myself and I've been thinking a lot more, but very differently when I'm thinking when we are all open and I might be
Yeah.
able to go out there, And so to be able to, like, the things he's seeing and this outside thinking that he's man, like
He's
Darman just hit
learning
the
different things than they have learned.
he hit it there. And I
Yeah.
think I'm a little bit more like Darman. I'm just gonna go with that. I'll go my answer,
It's a
Darman
good
for
answer.
sure. But Niner, come on, there's something in you, man.
Yeah, it's hard to
There's something
choose.
that it's not in this book. Come on. Like
Oh, it'll keep going.
but yeah, it's just I'm waiting for not him to snap in a good way, if that's the way you want to say it that way. I don't know if that's the way
Well,
you say
keep
it.
in mind we got the
No.
mission coming up. We stopped right before they head out. So like
Yeah.
once the lasers start flying and things start exploding and droids start shooting at them and like under pressure, everyone's gonna like fall into their role, and we're gonna see what they've learned and how they work together and how far they will go, and it's all gonna click. So this was all set up, build up, characters, connections, and then boom, we get to see what the results are once the poodoo hits the fan. So
Jedi poodle.
oh my gosh, can't believe we're almost done with this book. Okay, Jasmine, who do you love?
Real quick, if you hear the squeaking, my dog is playing with her toy right now.
It sounds like a dog playing with a toy.
Don't worry, there's a lot of effects tonight.
I was like, oh no, I don't know how loud that's gonna be. Yeah, Bambi's playing
That's
with
fine,
her
that's
toy.
fine.
So I love all four in different ways and for
Oh,
different
you got to
reasons.
pick one. You always do that to us, so you got to pick one at the end of your answer.
Okay, at the end of my answer.
Yeah.
So first off, I love Darman. He is my sweet angel baby boy. I just want to bake him cookies and just wrap him up in a blankie and be like, I got you, sweetheart. It's okay. Like that meme that Megan made. God bless you for that.
It's still so true. And it's like,
that's my baby.
Forever.
That's my precious little boy. A teen, I feel like I can relate to him in ways that I haven't quite always been able to relate to a Star Wars character necessarily.
Mhm.
And just like the way he holds himself and the way he tries to keep it together despite the struggles that he feels inside. And that's something that I connect to. And I wasn't expecting to connect to a character like that in this book. So it was kind of reassuring to me that if he can make it that far, so can I, and I just really appreciated that about him. So I think this book came into my life at the perfect time, and I read, and we got to read more about him like at a time where like I'm kind of low. And so it's just really nice to be able to connect with him that way. Niner, we all know I love my mans. I love my boy. I don't know, something about him. He's just so special. Like you said, the burden of leadership, but he still cares about his brothers. He knows the job is important, but he's like, hey, these are still my brothers at the end of the day. Even though
Yeah.
like a brand new squad and everything.
And the moments that we get to be in his head when he's doing something particularly dangerous, and you can tell like he's nervous and scared, and he's just
Right,
like,
but
well, this could kill me, I should probably move, and you're just like,
no,
oh
but
baby.
you're right, right. I agree with you there, but I think he's really like the leap of faith type of leader. Like, oh, it's
Yeah.
if it's gonna get done, it's gonna get done because we don't have the leisure to go
Mhm.
plan B, plan C. Before Jasmine, before I took over your answer to that, that's all I'm
It's
gonna
okay,
say.
it's okay.
But I do agree. I agree with what Megan said.
No, like, but and that's what I love about his leadership style is that he really is trying, but when you do get into his head, he's not sure. And that's
Yeah.
precious.
Yeah.
It's so relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he does seem kind of open about that, like at least to an extent with the others. And I really appreciate that about his leadership skills, because some leaders are just going to pretend like everything's fine, but then he's just like, no, maybe I got to rethink this, and he'll let them know. And I like that. I like that he trusts his team enough that he can be open despite being the leader. So I really appreciate that about him. Fi, oh my God, I fell in love with him when I was reading this, because you guys know me. I use humor to help with my feelings and
Mhm.
emotions. Like I use humor as a coping mechanism. Not exactly healthy, but you know, that's fine. That's what therapy's for.
Whatever works, and like it clearly is. It is.
Guy. Like I said, some of these stickies are because of him. One of my favorites.
Every Fi quote, I'm like, I should put a sticky.
He's like, the nice thing about the alphabet, ma'am, is that it gives you plenty of plans to choose from. Fi said, shut up, Fi, Niner said. And I'm just like,
I love them so much.
shut up, Fi. Like, oh my God. I love it.
He's just got a snarky comeback to everything.
And then when he said, laying up point, Niner prompted, LUP, you enjoy not being understood, don't you? Part of our mystique and charm, Fi
Our
said.
mystique and charm. Like, oh my gosh.
Fi said, and strap more webbing onto his armor as if it was nothing. And I'm just like, this.
Like, can you just picture this guy? I swear. I loved that too. As I was reading that, I was like, this is for Ronald. This was specifically written for Ronald, who's just like, what is with all this military lingo? Like, can we get a dictionary up in here? And I'm like, yeah, these are the characters.
Jannard. Yeah, you're
He's Jannard. Like,
like,
what? Aaron, what are you talking about?
So that's why, like, I just love how different they are, and it just makes it so much more fun, just because, like, to be able to relate to them in different ways, and then just have like the different types of team members. And so that's why I like how they all just like really do mesh together so well, even though they are so different, they're still the same. And I love it. They complement each other so well.
I love it. Who's your favorite?
I'm hoping you'd forget.
You're not getting off that easy question asker.
That's so hard to pick.
It is. It's almost impossible.
I know, that's the thing. If I
You gotta you asked the question. You gotta pick one.
I
know.
know.
Hoisted by her own petard.
It's gonna be between Niner and Fi.
Still one. That's not one.
Ooh.
I guess Fi, because we both need therapy.
So we got
You guys
Fi,
would be like dark
Darman,
humor all
Dar,
day.
and who?
Like,
What's Megan's choice?
oh shoot! I thought you guys wouldn't notice that.
No, I know.
Megan, you made me pick.
I was
You
listening.
made the clone sim pick. You're gonna pick.
Wait. Who was yours, Ronald?
Dar.
Okay, if you're okay, then I'll pick Niner.
You can have the same as one of us. It's just a little extra love for them.
No, that's extra innings for us with this
No,
episode.
I'm just like picturing like if we all like went to the cantina, like who would we sit next to at the bar? Because I could totally picture us going to the bar with this crew.
I'm gonna go make
And-
out with Fi somewhere.
We're
we're gonna have like funny dark humor jokes, and then
Could you imagine us just sitting around playing like Sabak with these guys, like just drinking not fuzzy tauntauns, but
no,
like,
because
any
that'll
other
kill
drink.
us.
I'll die. As
I'd rather
do.
have the sexy Wookiees do a mission with the three that we picked. So
Can you imagine
we
the
all had
pure
different-
sheer chaos?
That'd be cool.
Can you imagine the chaos of that?
Like you and Fi would just be cracking inappropriate jokes the whole time, and like Niner and me would be like, no, we must be the older, more mature leader.
I'll be like, but the octopus likes
together.
it. Why don't you? And then this is gonna be Niner and Megan the whole time.
Completely. And then like Darman and Ronald would be the little softies, just like, can we all just get along?
Yeah.
So I feel like Ronald would be a mixture between Cinnamon Roll Darman and then the tech guy Ateen.
Right.
So you would definitely get along with both of them.
Yeah. I feel like in life I relate to Niner a lot more. I don't know why I always end up in like leadership positions or trying to be the logical mature, because I'm the guide. I am.
That's true.
So yeah, I keep ending up that way. And so I do relate to his struggle in that way a lot. So I think if I had a totem in this book, it would be him. But Fi is probably my favorite character because I just love him.
See, isn't it hard to pick between them?
It's impossible to pick. I don't know.
But I see how we pick who we pick.
Yeah.
I guess. Like it's cool. A different question. Like, who do you relate to more?
I think that's what it is.
Who are you in love with? Who's your favorite? Who would you get a drink with? It's a different answer for everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's impossible.
No, I think Darman right now would be. No, I think it's Dar for me. The whole.
Okay, shoot, marry, screw.
All those questions.
Yeah.
Omega Squadron. Shoot, marry, screw. No, that's not real. Except for in the comments below, everybody has to answer.
How about kiss, marry, exile, so no one has to die?
Oh yeah, I couldn't kill any of them.
Okay, so kiss, marry, exile. There we go.
There, kiss, marry, exile. That's this week's challenge. On top of reading the rest of the book.
We're almost done, guys. We're in the last. Oh God, my eyes got so wide.
We're in the home stretch.
Okay, 16 through 20, right?
16 through 20. We're almost done. Look at that stickies. We're almost done.
Okay, I have a confession to make before my sexy Wookiee teammates. I accidentally got caught up in everything, and I already read chapter 16 because I did. Oh, I got the sad face octopus. I just didn't stop, and I kept reading, and then I was like, wait a minute, why does it say 17 on the next? Oh shoot, I read too far. So I've already read chapter 16, so I cheated. Luckily, Jasmine didn't ask any prediction questions, so it doesn't matter.
I can't
still getting the sad face
because you've read the book.
I know, exactly.
And then I've read a bunch of stuff on Tumblr, so I can't
exactly
ask
all the spoilers. So
as leader to both of you.
Hey, this
Quit
Tumblr stuff
Sexy
I
one.
read so long ago, though. I read it like
no worries.
I'm just saying.
No worries.
Chapter 16 picks up. It's like we're going. It's mission time. So Ronald's gonna love the whole rest of this book, I think. Oh, I love the rest of this book. I can't wait. Okay, so guys, 16 through 20, basically the rest of the book is your assignment for this week. Let's finish this. I really don't want it to end. I love this book so much. But this is how it is. This is how book club goes. We got to just keep on going and keep starting new series and falling in love with more characters. It just never ends. Like the bingo list of boyfriends just gets longer and longer. But here we are. So keep reading, keep playing games. Ronald, are you going to play Republic Commando?
Yes, we're trying to figure it out. So I'll talk to you guys after we finish this.
All right, well, something to look forward to. In the meantime, enjoy Battlefront 2, which I'm sure he's still playing. And then we've got shenanigans all over the place to look forward to. So that is it for the Sexy Wookiee Squadron Book Club this week. So for now, let's just sign out and go read the rest of this book. Sexy Wookiee.